Yes, guys, you know what time we're here by David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, Ireland's biggest Harry Kane fan, in fact, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan, bringing you another collab, again, with Tottenham on tour. It's going to be an absolute good one. And today, what we will be talking about is Paratici. We have pulled extracts from his interview. Extracts, that's a big word. You know, that's a good one. We've pulled extracts from the interview. We will be reading them out, and then we've formulated questions off the back of that. We'll also be going through a little bit about Steve Hitchen. I mean, who doesn't love ranting about that guy? He's a main part of the reason why Tottenham have been in the mess the last couple of years. But yeah, of course, we are joined by co-host Jack Kanicki, Brian Daigle, Brian Ireland, and Adam Clark. And we'll start with you, Jack. How are you keeping, my man?
Keeping pretty well, Dave. Looking forward to this one. Bit of a Friday afternoon chat. Lots to discuss. Hitchen sacking, a bit of a Brighton preview, some signings to talk about with the Tottenham on tour boys. Good to kind of have these kind of Friday morning vibes with the guys, I guess afternoon for some people. Looking forward to it.
Nah, 100%, my man. And Daigle, how are you keeping, brother?
Yeah, all good, brother. All good. It's nice to be actually able to talk about some football for a change. And yeah, just been taking a little time out. It's been my niece's second birthday, followed by my brother-in-law's birthday, and then my sister's 40th. So there's been a hat trick of birthdays. So I'm going over there for dinner tonight and everything. So it's been nice spending time with the family. And like I said, always a pleasure to come on this channel. And it's just a family reunion today, this show. So it's all good.
No, it definitely is. It's good to have you back, my man. It's good to have you back. Mr. Ireland, how are you keeping?
Well, sir. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. It is the morning, as Jack said, for us on the east coast of the North American continent. I'm well rested and looking forward to the chat. Like talking some football, talking some Spurs.
A nice change for you, of course, not hosting.
You don't have to host. I was going to say it, but I'm like, people got to know that already. Like, I'm just going to sit here and answer questions. It's great.
You got to love it.
Yeah.
And of course, my Irish brother, Adam, how are you keeping, man?
I am delighted to be finally back here on the channel. I haven't been here in ages, unfortunately, but I've been kept, occupied thanks by Tottenham on tour as well. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about football as well. I'm looking forward to the discussion. We have some juicy topics coming up, as you mentioned earlier. So looking forward to that, and big up the Harris Army as well. I missed you.
No, big yourself up, my man. It's great to have you back. And let's just take a few people in before we do get into it, because we are pushed for a bit of time today. We have Franco Martino. Hello, Martini. Hello, everyone. Big yourself up, my man. I hope you're keeping well. We have Spurs related. He says, yes, fella. Straight banger. Big yourself up, my man. James from Spurs related. What a channel.
Big up, James.
We have Welsh Gal in the house. Oh, yes, lads. A Friday afternoon treat. Hashtag Harris Army. Hashtag Flatcap Army. No, 100%. And, we're going to be doing a collab, but we are with Tottenham on tour every single week. 1 week on their channel, the next week on our channel. So stay tuned for it. It should be absolutely a banger every single week. And it's what I'm looking forward to. Both channels are on the rise. Both channels are growing. So, let's grow together and let's do a collab. Why not? It makes sense. William Kelly says, big up, boys. Big up, William. A great conversation with you yesterday, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Mark Cousins, hashtag Harris Army. I wonder why you had to jump off Sean Shaw. Yeah, because I'm over here, my man. Honestly, I'm a man in demand lately. I'm spreading myself everywhere. But no, it's good. It's good. But big up, Marky boy. Nick is in the house. Yes, party people. Nick. Big up, Nick. I hope you are keeping well, my man. We also have Alan Harris in the building. Says, hi, y'all. Big up, Alan. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Vince Vegas in the house. He says, come on, you Spurs. Glad Hitchen is out. Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted he's gone. The imposter. Thank God he's gone. Simon Stevens says, if I close my eyes, it's like I'm listening to Robbie Keane. And that's exactly the effect I'm going for, lad. So I'm glad it's working out. Big yourself up. And if you open your eyes, you might see me cartwheel across the screen and do the Robbie Keane celebration. So, stay tuned, my man.
David, I have to see that, mate. Come on, you got to make that.
Well, maybe back in the day before I found my love of kebabs.
You just do the sideways one. You kind of don't have to go fully over,
You'd only get one frame of it, too. So
you
wouldn't have to see him land it.
It's full force. There's no half-ass, lad. I'm committing. Soft says, Conte calling out Spurs business over the past 3 years. He even questioned the signing of Gill. I think Paratici is getting a lesson about the players required to compete in the Premier League. Yeah, I did see that one quote about him, about the players over the last 3 years that we have signed. Rightly so. I mean, He's only saying what every Spurs fan is
exactly.
feeling anyway, to be honest with you. So we really shouldn't be shocked. We also have DPC 1865. Come on, you Spurs, from the beach in Mississippi. My man, absolutely loving that. Someone's living life good anyway. You got to love it. And we have Dermot from Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Ladies and gentlemen,
what's up,
it's the main event of the day. Live from Kildare, Ireland, introducing David Irish Hotspur Harris and the crew of Tottenham on Tour. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. And come on, you Tottenham on Tour Army. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, live from Brooklyn, New York, introducing Jack, Statsman Kinnicky, USA, #1 Spurs fan. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Big up my man Dermot from Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Best intros in the business. He absolutely loves them. He lives for it. He's here every single show with an intro. Sorry, Brian, go on.
Yeah, no, I just want to big up Dermot. I'm sorry, just take this little segment. A huge big up to Dermot, because yesterday we did a huge, powerful a show about mental health, something that's very, very important to Tottenham on Tour. What's up, Big Boss Man? We did a huge special on it, and we had various people come on and speak, as well as myself and Brian Ireland, about our dealings with it, and what Dermot had the commitment and dedication, and the way he shared his story was absolutely amazing. And I had a Virgin Media of all shows to go down. My Wi-Fi in the whole of Barnet, Virgin Media went down, so I didn't get to say big up to Dermot and everyone that was on the show at the end. So I just want to say a huge big up to everyone that contributed to that show, especially Dermot.
Yeah. Big up Dermot, my man. What an absolute legend. What an absolute legend. Big Boss Man is in the house. He says, woo! Absolutely gotta love it. And he says, big up the panel, especially Brian. Brian, you and Big Boss Man are friends now.
Thanks, guys.
Mate, no.
No,
not me. Do you know what? People know, I'm not going to details. We had some debates that got out of hand, and do you know what it was? And like I said, like what happened with you on Saturday, and I spoke to Adrian, as you know, David and Jack. I sent him and spoke to him personally to apologise for my behaviour. I think me and Big Boss Man just got off on the wrong foot, and do you know what? We called a truce because of Mr. K on one of your shows, ironically. And ever since then, do you know what? I speak to him regularly on Twitter, on direct, but I've got a lot of time for this dude. I think it was just a case of we got off on the wrong foot. So big up to Big Boss Man, because he's actually turned out to be probably what he thought with me as well. We completely got off on the wrong foot, and now I speak to him as if I've known him for years. So big up to him for not only honouring the truce, but we're actually building a friendship. So it's wonderful to see.
That's great. A lot of love in the Spurs community. You know, I love to see it, because there's no point in hating on each other, because every other fucker outside of the Tottenham fan base hates us. So we gotta love each other, and absolutely love that. Big up, Big Boss Man. Woo! A big woo for that one, my man. We also have Breezy Drop. He says, Irish, where is Bill Gadden? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think he's talking about where. I think that's where Dermot said he was from. Live from Bill Gadden.
Wexford's off. If that's where Dermot is from. Well, he lives in Wexford. I don't know if he's from. I don't actually think he's from Wexford.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know, my man. I do not know. Kai Balak says, big up, boys. Good morning from California. Big up, my man. Good to see you in, Kai. We have Chris. He says, big up, lads. Quick visit whilst working. My man, absolutely love it. Do not get yourself sacked, brother. Mr. Kiriakou is in the house.
Ready, boy.
He's bantering Big Boss Man. Gotta love it. Big up, Danny.
Danny Kiriakou. Danny Kiriakou. It's the law. The first time I've seen it.
You gotta love it. Nick says, big up for last night's stream, Tottenham on Tour. Thank you. Mr. Nick is in the house. He says, guys, big yourself up. And I think we've got absolutely everybody there. Everyone, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you absolutely obliterate that subscribe button. The big push for 6K is on. We're so close. I can almost taste it. And everybody, feel free to get your super chats in. It is a great way to support myself and Jack on the YouTube journey. But most importantly, if you are impatient like me at a bakery, when there's cakes there, you know, sometimes you just got to skip the queue. So get your super chat in. It brings you to the very, very top of the list, you know, and we get straight to it. And, you know, they always do lead to great talking points as well. But do not worry. We know it's a big, bad world out there. We know not everybody is in a position to be able to do it. So as always, as a part of the agreement, just get your answers in, or whatever your point is, into the chat, and we will bring them up on screen. But look, it's time for me to shut up now. It's time to hand over to Jackie Boy. Let's take it away, my man.
Let's take it away, boys. We're going to be discussing first that whole Paratici interview where he's quite transparent about a lot of things. I would say, very designed and catered questions to him. But at the end of the day, I kind of thought we did learn a lot from it. So might as well break it down. Paratici, when he was asked, how do you think the January transfer window has gone from a Spurs point of view? He said just 1 month and not 3 months like the summer. And a lot of clubs don't want to move some players. So it's a market where we speak about opportunities. It's normally in January that we're looking more for a specific kind of position. I think we found the right players in the right position. Players like Bentancur and Kulusevski, they're younger, but they have a lot of experience because Bentancur played 5 years in Juventus and almost 200 games, whereas Kulusevski almost played 100. They play for their national team and at the World Cup or European Championships. They're young players, and we have to develop them for sure. They can improve in this league, in this squad, with this coach, but they also already have good experience as well. Rodrigo is a midfielder, a complete midfielder. Dejan is just 21 with 10 goals and 10 assists for Juventus. He's a really good prospect, but he also is ready to play because he played 35 games for Parma and scored a lot while there. He's a really big prospect in Europe. Both of the players have a lot of character, a lot of intensity. Dejan is a forward, but he also runs a lot. He fights a lot of personality, big personality. He is very ambitious, and this is the most important skill that he has. Lots of praise for Dejan Kulusevski, Byron Ireland. Do you feel like, or is this like sort of a signing that you've been kind of excited by? Is he someone that can maybe help us get to top 4? Are you maybe more excited by the Bentancur signing? Are you disappointed by the signings? What do you kind of make of Paratici's praise of Kulusevski?
I mean, I think he's always gonna say something positive since he was behind it. He's not gonna say that they're not good signings. I've gotten more excited about them as I've done research. I did a quick video on the North End about the 2 signings and just dug into the statistics a little bit, Jack from flatcapeurotalk style, and got into some of the details. And I think they're more exciting now knowing what they might bring. And of course, that's just always a might, right? Because you don't know how they're going to, how that's translates in the Premier League. I think that's always kind of the case. They look good on paper. They look good in a YouTube video. Will it translate in the Premier League? We won't know until we see them play. But I do think Kulusevski is a baller. I think he's got a lot of upside. At 21 years old, his quality on the ball is really good. His passing is really good. His creativity, arguably, is something that maybe is gone a little bit missed in his statistics specifically, and what he can bring to that front 3, or if he ends up tucking in as a 10, depending on the shape. And also, as Conte said in his press conference, he could also play right wing back, which I was surprised by him saying. But at the same time, I think Conte can do whatever he wants. So yeah, both good players. Bentancur a little bit less excited about, but I do think he adds some depth to that position and does a little bit different than the other players, and that's getting forward and transitioning quicker. We don't have that in any of those 3 players with Winks, Skip, and Højbjerg, and with Bentancur we do. He does have the ability to make those passes, and that's actually his focus, and I think that'll be something we desperately need right now.
I really like that answer, Brian. Adam, do you feel like Paratici's praise of Dejan is a bit unwarranted, or do you feel like maybe there is a bit of substance to maybe that praise that he was giving, or maybe the Bentancur signing? Do you feel like you're more excited by that one?
No, I think there's substance to it, right? Because we mustn't forget, I think especially with Kulusevski, I'm not too sure about Bentancur, but Paratici bought him into Juventus, and now he's bought him out of Juventus again. So he has worked with him in the past. And plus Paratici, in that position, as a director of football and as a former scout as well, he knows players. So I wouldn't expect him to, just make things up about these lads. I'm excited about Kulusevski a bit more than Bentancur, to be honest, just because I've heard more good things about Kulusevski. I haven't heard that much about Bentancur, but both of them are really promising. And I even heard a rumor from somewhere, now this could be unreliable, but I think Kulusevski actually played in a CAM role for Juventus a couple of times. So maybe if Conte wants to mold him into that type of player, he could be finally, after 3 years, a replacement for Christian Eriksen and even Dembele. And imagine that at long last we get our Eriksen and Dembele replacement. I would just be so over the moon with that. Wow. Conclusion, I'm really excited for both these signings. On their own, I'm not sure if they will be enough to take us to top 4. I think injuries, albeit lack of injuries, are key. Especially in the second part of the season. Thankfully, at the moment, our players are returning and no one's injured. I think, unless of course Sessegnon on his knee says, "Hey, I'm ahead out again. So I'm looking forward to it for the moment, and like I'm looking forward to seeing these two lads in action.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Kulusevski can play all those positions. You were saying at least we do know he can play at least 2 or 3, across the forward line, which I think really helps us. So, I mean, Brian Daigle, do you feel like maybe that's what maybe we could be excited about with Kulusevski, is that he's this kind of tall, big, exciting sort of prospect that can play across the forward line. He's not really necessarily, limited to just a particular position. Maybe that's what makes him great. Or maybe, again, I'll ask it, are you really excited about Bentancur? Maybe you're a big Bentancur fan.
So first of all, I just want to say hello to Bobby Kay, who's been coming on our channel recently. Is a near dear friend of mine, and I love him and his kids to pieces. So and happy birthday to Chris Passero, who is just a phenomenal guy. So yeah, like I said to you on your stream when Matt Hayes came on and it all broke, I know of Kulusevski. I don't know Bentancur if he was sitting next to me at dinner. So I'm not gonna really be able to comment and say, yeah, he's going to be a baller, or no, he's going to be a flop, because I just don't know. I've heard mixed reviews from him. But benefit of the doubt, he's come to Tottenham. He's going to be under Conte. I am excited by Kulusevski. I said that on the stream when it broke. Kulusevski, I think it's hard. I mean, something I heard somewhere talking about, they may convert him to a right wing back. I keep hearing that now. Obviously, I know he can play a host of positions, which is always good for a team, but it's whether he can play a host of positions well, or it's just the one position, or maybe the 2 attacking positions, let's say he plays well. I am excited about him. I am very, very excited about him. I didn't know until we saw the interviews as well that his English is fluent. It's fluent as they come, and obviously, whether we like to admit it or not, them being able to come to the country and be able to speak the language fluently to begin with is a huge part of settling in. And being able to bond with the team and go and watch a bit of TV or just interact in this country, it's huge. So that's even given me more reason to be excited with Kulusevski, because obviously he'll come in. There's no he'll be able to interact. So I am excited by him. I am excited. Like we said, he's 21. I think he's 21. Is that right? He's 21 years old. So
I think 21 recently.
Again, I mean, we've been talking a lot about how it's one for the future and whether they come off. But this one, he's done it at Juventus. He showed he can do it. He's an international. He comes over. He speaks fluent English. And he's got, let's face it, he's got a manager that can turn ballers into huge prospects. So I'm very, very, very excited with him. I started off excited. By the end of this block, I'm very, 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 very excited. But Bentancur,
talk yourself into it. You talk yourself.
Yeah, I'm kind of. There might be a few very, very, very's by the end of this interview. It might be me going very, very, very for 10 minutes.
There's no might on that, by the way.
Yeah. So what I will say with Bentancur, for me, it's a wait and see, and how do we fit him in, and who does he replace out of Skip and Højbjerg? So I'm not going to pass comment on him. Right. But Kulusevski, I'm very, 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 very excited. Let's add a few more. Why not?
There you go. Why not add a few more? Dave, The Athletic revealed that the PSG were willing to include center back Abdou Diallo, that center back, I believe, French center back and midfielder, Ander Herrera, former Manchester United player, in a potential deal to bring Tanguy Ndombele to Paris in January. The report adds that Spurs inquired about Leandro Paredes, your favorite guy, Dave, as a possible make-weight in the deal, but the Argentine international was not interested in a move to North London. Paratici said that this is a market that is about opportunities. Dave, it was just 1 month, but do you think we made the best of maybe the opportunities that were presented to us this January window? We had the Luis Diaz opportunity, of course, Traore example, maybe the potential swap deals that we could have done with Ndombele, or maybe with Lo Celso. I mean, do you think we made the most of the opportunities, Dave?
Do you know what? I really do. I really do. You look at Giallo and Herrera, I mean, they're not great. If you were going to do that, you're just bringing in players for the sake of bringing in players to please the fans, to say, look, we're doing something. For me, this window was all about quality over quantity. Yes, we were all, the thing is, you look at the window, we were always going to be left wanting more. We were always going to, even if we signed the right wing back, people would have wanted the centre back, and so on and so on. We were always going to be left about wanting more. Look, the there's no doubts about it. The Bentancur and the Kulusevski deal came about because Juve were wanted to get Vlahovic and Zakaria. They've upgraded. So these players became available, and we swooped in and took that opportunity. And for me, we've got in two quality players, two players that have won things. You know, they know what it takes to get over the line. You look at Bentancur, he's got some Serie A's under his belt. You know, Kulusevski, they're tall, big, physical players as well. And you look at what we've got in. Yes, I would have liked more as a Spurs fan, but I actually think the players we got in are very good. And I think we made the most of the opportunities. Look, you look at Diaz. I firmly believe his agent and the player used us to get Liverpool to act. So that one I'm not too concerned about. Adama Traore, look, I would have liked them to come in, but how much did we really want them? You know, how badly? Because we
wanted that 20 million kind of snatch and grab, you know, sort of deal. I don't think we wanted to pay 30 million for the guy.
No, 100%. And that's the thing, Jack. We could have got him. We could have got him straight like that. As soon as we put in 20 mil, they would have accepted it. But in terms of did we make the best out of the opportunities to present stuff, I definitely think we would. And look, what Paratici said is correct. We do have to remember it is 1 month compared to 3 months over the summer. Over the summer, you have time to sit there, plan, you know, strategize and stuff like that. Now, yes, all that should be in place before the January transfer window. But in terms of getting deals done, we also have to remember that every club you go to buy from, in January, they're going to want to replace that before they let that player go to you. It's a domino effect, that January transfer window. And I just believe with the opportunities that presented ourselves, I actually think we took them. I really do. If we were sitting here talking about Giallo and Ander Herrera now, we'd be sitting here going, well, how did it fit into the squad? Where did they improve us? You know, we've got Kulusevski and Bentancur, and it's clear to see where they improve us. So I'm delighted we took opportunities and we got the quality.
I like that answer, Dave. I like that answer. Moondog in here with a super chat saying, "Good afternoon, lads. I'm more excited by the players who are not here anymore." Yabba dabba do.
Yeah,
I forget if it was Moondog. I think it was Franco Martini the other day, Dave. He said by us not getting Traore made it a good window for him, like on the fan show, which I actually thought was a hilarious answer to the transfer window. But to you, Brian Ireland, just to take the super chat with me, is this maybe what kind of makes the smile on our faces sometimes with this transfer window, just seeing so many faces gone, so many players that we thought we would just never be ridden of, players we thought we would be talking about in our sleep at a certain rate? Is that maybe what makes this transfer window kind of special?
I think it does. I said from the beginning that, on multiple channels, including our own, that I think the most important thing will be getting rid of not just the deadwood, but the players that are in the dressing room that are causing this sort of disconnect between the team all going in the same direction, which we know from what happened when Poch was in and what Conte expects from his teams is that everybody's fighting for the same thing and there's some togetherness. When you have 2 or 3 players who aren't in on that, and they're big players and they're players with history in the club or expectations in the club like Tanguy had, they aren't fighting for the same thing. So I think getting rid of those two in particular, and then of course Lo Celso just being a dud, we all will admit that, is injury problems and really not playing well in a Tottenham shirt. I think that business is the best business, and then replacing them with 2 quality players or seemingly quality players is good business as well. I think it's a little bit thin on the numbers, but I don't think those 3 players were going to play anyway. So, I mean, if they're just going to sit on the bench and you still bring 2 new players in, you aren't really hurting that depth that much because they weren't playing anyway. I mean, if you look at that Chelsea game, those 3 players, not even in the squad. So I think
there was even a stat released about like they've so far under Conte, all of them together played like 10 or 12 matches. Or
it was like 70 minutes combined or something stupid. No, I mean, it's more than that. But yeah, I do think that was the best business we did. It was the most important thing to do to get top 4 this season, was to get rid of anything that's getting in the way of it. And I think players like that were getting in the way of it for sure.
Absolutely. Moondog, I think that's what makes it a spectacular window in itself. Gives me kind of special feelings. But Moondog, good to see you in here and pick yourself up. To bottom Duda saying Bentancur is a box-to-box midfielder. He will be a success. He's a very Vidal kind of South American midfielder. That's high praise, I would say. Whom Conte is going to absolutely love. Dave, he's going to be like Vidal for us. I mean, that honestly makes you almost drool with excitement.
I mean, look, if he's like Vidal, honestly, I'd have to go and take 5 minutes to myself off camera. But look, when it comes to Bentancur, what this guy really does it's the passing range. It's the wanting to pass forward. It's the know-how to pass forward under pressure. It's dealing with the ball under pressure. It's linking in the defence to the strike force. Because right now, what we're looking to do, right before you bring in Bentancur, right now what's happening is the defence get the ball, they try and play into Højbjerg and skip. If they can't, they go route one to Harry Kane. You're not giving them a chance to be able to get onto the ball. Whereas Bentancur will come in, he'll say, Moon Boots, you kick it long again, I'm going to headbutt you. You give me the ball every single time. He takes control of the ball. He turns, and then, he has Harry Kane to hit. He'll have Son to hit, Kulu, Lucas, whoever plays. And I think this is going to be an absolute crucial signing for us. I do believe he'll be a success. And, what he can do as well, Jack, is if you do want to go with the midfield three and you play Højbjerg and skip, you can allow them then, like we did against Leicester, to push right up and press with our front players, and put teams under pressure higher up the field rather than sit back and draw on them onto you. And I think that's an absolute huge plus. This guy can really change the way we've been playing in terms of he can help us maybe control possession a lot more than what we have been doing. He can help us transition into attack, quick counterattacks like that. So for me, I think this guy, he has the crucial to really push us on to top four. I think he'll have a massive part to play, and I'm very happy. And like I said, he's a winner. He's won stuff at Juve. He was in the team before this season, winning with Juve. He plays with Uruguay. Them Uruguayans, they're tough players, mentally strong as well. This guy has a good mentality, and I think this one I'm very, very happy with.
And that's something we'll even get onto later, is like the whole, him prioritizing players with the right mentality. And it seems like that's something important to Paratici as well as being important to Antonio Conte. But the bottom Duda, really big yourself up. Absolutely loving that praise. If we get half of a Vidal, I'll be happy. Franco Martini says, too many Spurs players dribble instead of playing 1- and 2-touch football. Conte has complained about this. Hopefully the new guys will help change this. I mean, I do kind of agree with this. I feel like we've seen our football speed up a lot, though. Just the moment Antonio Conte took charge, guys. I feel 100%. Like the moment we were coming up against Vitesse, it was kind of like, geez, this is a very different game compared to what we played against them last time. So he is speeding up the passage of play. I feel like we are playing a lot more one-touch sort of kind of football. And then as well, we almost have our wingers playing like kind of number 10s, like in these kind of pocket spaces as well, which I'm also really liking. But I mean, Dave, what do you think? Is this something that you're kind of enjoying with Antonio Conte? He's speeding up, our attacks. He's speeding up our dynamism. Yeah,
he's definitely trying to speed it up. But like we've natural fast players anyway, you can be quick on that attack. But with what Franco was saying here about the players dribbling instead of playing 1 or 2 touch, the reason why we haven't been able to play 1 or 2 touch is because of the quality of the players we have. You're not playing 1 or 2 touch with Doherty at right back. You're not playing 1 or 2 touch with Lo Celso and then Dembele and Dele Alli in midfield because they can't even get the first pass right. You're not going to play 2 touch with half the players we have in this team. Lucas Moura as well, for me, too erratic on the ball. Sometimes if he just slowed himself down a little, you can play that 1 or 2 touch. Look, hopefully now under Conte, this will change. Hopefully that this guy, like I said, Bentancur, he can kind of just calm everybody down a little bit, get on the ball, keep possession, and sustain some possession in the final third as well. In the final third, we're constantly trying to dribble at players, and yes, that causes problems. But in terms of unlocking the teams have sussed that. They just set everybody back in the box, pack it up. You're not dribbling through us. Now try and pass through us. And we haven't had that answer. And this guy, Bentancur, will bring that. So hopefully, you will see us doing a lot more 1-2s rather than players dribbling on their own. But like, I get it with some of these players, why they do take the ball and go on their own. Because you look at some of the quality around them. They don't trust that player to be able to do the 1-2 and get the ball back to them. So then they end up going on a mazy run on their own. And this is something that needs to be drilled out of these players. They need to learn to trust each other. But that'll only happen with the better quality you bring into this team. Like at the end of the day, in order to play, on the front foot, nice attacking football, possession-based football, you have to have players that are of quality. Their first touch is exquisite every single time. Their pass is exquisite every single time. Their mentality is good. And hopefully this is where we're going to.
Absolutely. And I think Kulusevski as well, Franco, could absolutely play, part of that one touch sort of football as well. I feel like he's really, very decisive, dynamic player, plays very, very direct. So I think he would fit that bill as well. Question to you though, Adam, is do you feel like, Paratici was saying, January is the month where we are looking for more specific positions. Do you feel like we found the right players for the right positions? Do you think we signed in the right positions? Maybe this last window, do you feel like maybe we missed opportunities in other positions? How do you feel like? Do you feel like we upgraded in the right areas?
Some of the areas we operated in were correct. I would have loved to see us bring in more, but January transfer window was 1 month. But on the flip side of that, you can say, well, how come it took us until the last week, and not even the last week, the last few days of the window to start actively try and go at it 100%, trying to buy players? At least take the first few days of the window, maybe to just get your bearings, scout the players, and just get organized, but then start trying to sign them. And try to sign them in the key positions. We still don't have a proper backup goalie for Lloris East because Mr. Gucci, as I call him, he proved himself all but just an A Tech or B Tech Joe Hart in the Conference League. Whiteman, I didn't even know I forgot existed. So in that area, if Lloris gets injured, we're screwed. We still don't have even a partner for Kane. You have Son, Son, Mora, and even Bergwijn going in and out of the position trying to work with him. We don't even have a backup for Kane, so we don't have anyone there. CAM, we're having to probably mold one of the players we bought into that position. We didn't buy an actual proven CAM. So we could have gotten more, but what we got was better than nothing. And to be honest, for our 2 signings that we got in the second to last day of the window, I was expecting far worse. I was expecting Ollie Tanner at one stage, but thanks a bit of flip, we didn't get him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would have just lost the will to live, if we had gotten him. So, yeah. Like I said earlier, I am happy with the 2 signings, and I think in the positions where they already played, they can contribute and they can add more to the squad. But yeah, I would just love to see maybe 1, 2 more. I was dying for Frank Kessie, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I would have even been happy with Adama Traore at one stage, but look at if you lined up, I think I said this in one of my short vids. If you lined up Traore, Bentancur, and Kulusevski and said, right, you can take 2 of these players. I think we all know which ones, or both me and the rest of the fan base were chosen. It wouldn't have been the big player from Wolves. That's for sure.
That is for sure. Brian Daigle, do you feel like we signed players in the right positions? Maybe same question I asked Adam. Are you kind of frustrated by maybe the positions we went after? Or do you feel like maybe we did upgrade in the right areas?
For me, this is a tough one, and it's
especially with 2 signings where you're you're going to leave something out.
Well, look at it. The way I look at it, and we had 2 out. And 4, 5 out, 2 in, sorry. And was it 4 or was it 5? And Dembele, Lo Celso, Hill, and Delhi. So 4. Taking 4 out and putting 2 in, the mathematics show you've weakened the squad. The squad is weaker, but in depth, we brought in 2 solid players. One I know of, the first one, I don't know. Look, we all went into this window knowing that we wanted a creative midfielder, a genuine, not potentially, not, we're going to convert him, not, we wanted someone, and I don't mean spending big money, but that was a necessity. For me, signing a competition for Kane, that was a necessity. Signing a right back, which is a position, and I always use David Harris's one when I say this, and I'll continue to quote David and mention his name when he came out with the absolute brilliant comment that since we've sold Walker, look how many right backs we've gone through to try and replace Walker. And we're still doing that. So I understand, yes, we have strengthened in a position that we already had a few. We have lost a few. I think there are, listen, people have got me very misunderstood when I thought this was all going to get done in one window and we were going to sign quality in each and every position.
Yeah.
But to me, out of those 3 players I've just mentioned, a genuine, certified central attacking midfielder was the be-all and end-all for me. Kulusevski may be able to play that role, but obviously we've discussed he can play a host of other roles. Right. I wanted someone that came in and was, there you go, Christian Eriksen, or there you go, Coutinho. And I'm just saying those players because they're 2 players that have moved in this window that what they're there to do. They are there, and that's what they've done, and that's what they do. Don't get me wrong, these two have boosted the midfield. There's no doubt about it. But the players got out, and the one I really wanted, if we had got a central attacking midfielder, a genuine one, I would have been delighted with this window. Like, absolutely over the moon, ecstatic, like, brilliant. We really have we've replaced we've strengthened in what we've got, but we haven't brought in what we haven't got. So it's something that I think Tottenham should have looked at doing. But I understand, come the summer, they have, and who knows, there may be a central attacking midfielder that will absolutely like be, oh my God, what a signing, and that may only be able to happen in the summer. So I understand that these deals may have to wait till the summer, but that was the position that I would have gone hell for leather for to solve above these two.
Yeah, I mean, the way you broke it down there, I feel like maybe we didn't really look in the right areas. I'll tell you that. Cavcop Gaming here is saying, to be honest, Son is the only signing that hasn't flopped. I would say, Dave, I would love to see his player ratings because I bet they're not very generous if that's the case. But I think, I would say Højbjerg, Reguilón. You can even look at some of Steve Hitchen's signings at the end of the day, despite how many misses he's had. He's had some decent signings at the end of the day, especially for the price, I would say. Signed Højbjerg for 15 mil, signed Reguilón for 25 mil. Kind of think maybe those aren't really bad signings, especially with the price as well. But a little brutal there, Cap. I'd like to see your player ratings, on some occasions. But Philip Brady saying January was part 2 of the Paratici plan for Spurs. Part 3 is in the summer, is when we really see the benefits of hiring him next season. Sky's the limit. It feels like he really is the godfather then, because we're going through about a 7-part series. It feels like, the Paratici plan here. Nice. The third movie, Dave, the third Paratici movie, will it be a success in the summer? Will it be the Godfather just being able to bring all sorts of players into the Spurs team?
I mean, this is one part where I was happy with the transfer window in the end, because you look at 3 of the players out of the 4 we have offloaded. Lo Celso, Ndombele, Dele Alli. They offered absolutely nothing to the club. They were on colossal wages, and they were just taking up spaces in the squad. They were blocking youth development, and that's the whole reason why we had to sell first this January transfer window before we brought in. Getting them off, getting the wages offloaded now means we can act in the free contract market, and we can offer them the money that they're going to demand, because there's no transfer fee. They're going to demand colossal wages. But also, you put yourself in a position in the summer. Now, this is all if they act this way, but you put yourself in a position this summer where now you can buy first before you sell. So you can go, you can identify your targets early, work on them. They got some work done beforehand. Yeah. Exactly, and get them in here. We're not waiting on them fat ass to go and find a job at McDonald's. We're not waiting on Giovanni Lo Celso, to try and find himself a club. We're not sitting there guessing what color hair Dele Alli's going to have tomorrow. May I add, actually, how dare he turns up to Everton with red in his hair? I don't get that. He's asking for failure straight away. But I mean,
in a Bentley.
Yeah. Look, the guy's just lost a run of himself. But look, I do see what Paratici is doing. Look, he's coming. The amount of players he's offloaded that Steve Hitchen has signed, he's completely ripping up the scouting department and rebuilding it from the ground up. I can see what Paratici is doing, and I've always said this. I don't know why Spurs fans were starting to make Paratici a part of the problem. He was never. He was brought in to help us. He was brought in to change things, and you can see he's doing that. Everything Steve Hitchen done, the players he's brought in on colossal money, and the money he spent on a lot of these players, absolutely shocking. And then not only that, he couldn't get rid of them. He could not get rid of them. Paratici's come in. We haven't heard any excuse. 6 months, the majority of them are gone. It's unbelievable. So for me, I definitely think Paratici and Conte, if given the right tools from our owners, I think they can turn Tottenham from where we are now into an elite superpower club in world football. Everything is in place to do it: stadium, training complex, and so on, manager. So hopefully now, given the right tools, they can bring us there. Because what he's done is everything Steve Hitchen was supposed to do and made an absolute balls of it, and is a massive part of the problem why we've been like this for the last couple of years. He's completely come in, ripped up, and said, "You baldy fraud, get out of here."
It is kind of hilarious that he really did leave or quit for being relegated to the espresso guy. It really is actually quite funny that that did happen. But Philip Brady, really appreciate it, my man. And looking forward to part three. Part three, no Hitchen. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. To bottom Duda as well, though. Just saying Paratici will ensure Juve gets Levy's money. I think that is honestly probably could have thrown a lull at the end there. But he is, maybe he's also a spy at the same time for his old employers. Maybe he's a spy at the same time. And then just quickly again from bottom Duda saying, what does the panel think about Conte integrating Marcel Lavinier into the first team as a right wing back? He could be better than our present options. I haven't seen Lavinier kind of show up at all, really, for like any sort of like videos or training. I haven't seen him being called up for the under 23s. I'm not sure if this is really a possibility.
I've never even heard of him.
Yeah,
Well,
he played once under Jose at one
he's
stage.
He's a youth player. He has a lot of potential. He's quite young still, I think, 18, 19 when he first played for us. So he's probably 19 or 20 now. I mean, is he better than the players we have? Possibly. I mean, that's not that hard, is it? When it comes to a wing back position, you're competing against Royale, who's not a wing back, he's a right back, and then you're competing against Doherty, who we all have our opinions on. Although I think Doherty has stepped up a little bit in the last couple of games he's played. I'm not saying that he's the solution, but he's certainly better than he has been. It's a tough one to say. I think we need to see more of him, wouldn't we, to know if he's a better option?
Well, there's Lavinia and I can't say the other name.
Pascazzi.
I forgot who's on the show with me.
I love Pascazzi.
Jack,
Pascazzi looks good too. Yeah, I agree with you.
My European interpreter is here, so I just need that. So I can take a step back with the names. So listen, them two have got genuine something about them, but again, I mean, I'm sure when we come talking about players out, we'll talk about the Brian Hill deal, and with people like Lavinia, who has definitely got something about him, we need to try and find him alone in lower league to not stump his progress, to not stump him just being in the mix. This guy, when it comes to it now, we need to see if there's something there, and I honestly believe there is with Lavinia. I really, really do, more than the one Jack's going to say his name for me.
Pascazzi.
Thank you very much indeed. Because Lavinia is something, is definitely something there. But I think the way they've got to earn is not just going out on loan. Like I said with Phil, they need to go to English clubs. Now, Lavinia, I don't want him going to a Premier League team because it's going to be way too above his station right now. But maybe a mid-table or a championship team of some form, or even if he has to go into League One, but somewhere where he's going to get regular football.
Yeah.
Really, really be tested, because obviously those leagues are very, very grueling. They're non-stop, and I think that's where we're seeing. I think there's some players like Skip, and Carl Walker. Look at Carl Walker, who went to Villa. These loan deals in these positions really seem to be beneficial for the club, and I think that's what we've got to look at to try and see what Lavinia's got.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Hopefully we can see what he has to offer. At the same time, though, might be another situation of maybe the players ahead of him just keep being given the game time, maybe when they don't deserve it, kind of like the Dohertys of the world. And we might end up with another Dylan Marcondi sort of situation. But we are going to move on, lads. And I'm going to ask Brian Ireland here. Paratici, when asked on working with Antonio Conte over the course of the transfer window and how much did they work together, Paratici said, I always work near the coach about the transfer window. With Antonio, we know for a long time. We've known each other for a long time, and we've worked together a long time, and we've achieved big results together. We speak every day for a long time, every day about how we can improve the team, how we can improve the mentality of the team, not just about skills or about the players, but also about the mentality of the players, the environment, the style of football. We speak about these things all the time, but not just in January. We speak all the time every day because we stay together. They speak all the time. We speak all the time every day, and we stay together. And I watch the training every day. We eat together. We stay together. It's normal to have this kind of relation. First question is, what do you think the color of their bunk beds are? Second question is, do you feel like maybe this is a good sign that maybe, Conte and Paratici are kind of actually working together? We kind of assumed this was the case, but actually seeing them, talking together and working together in the way that Paratici is describing, Do you feel like that means Conte could be getting what he wants then, Brian Ireland?
Yeah, first about the bunk beds, I think they're blue and white. They have to be. You can't say any other colors. In regards to them working, in regards to them working together, I think you'd expect this. I mean, they knew each other from Juve. They have a relationship. They speak Italian. So when you're going to get a translation from Conte and you want to know what he really thinks, he's going to say it in Italian. And for Paratici to be able to translate that and understand what he's specifically saying, specifically about attributes that he's looking for of certain players, I think it's incredibly important that relationship is close. It's hard to say for sure, whether like how close it is and how much they talk, but why wouldn't they? It's for the best for both of them and their career at Spurs currently to ensure that each one is getting what they need out of the other. Because it's for Conte to get the players he wants, he has to have a good open relationship with Conte, and for Conte to ensure that he gets the players he wants, he has to say to Paratici, here's what I need and here's the attributes I'm looking for. So
yeah,
I would assume it's tight, and especially since they know each other. And the reason Conte came is because of Paratici in the first place. Because had Hitchens been there, it wouldn't have been. We wouldn't have had Conte. So that relationship is going to be key moving forward, and especially in the summer when we do start to address some of those other positions that we need to address. The time from now until that point and the planning that the two of them have to do together is massive.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I think it is absolutely massive. Adam, they eat together, they stay together, perhaps even sleep together. What do you feel like maybe is, the case with Paratici and Conte? Are you maybe, or maybe some nerves or something kind of taken away by seeing that, these guys work so close together? Do you maybe think that means Conte is going to get what he wants in the summer and whatnot, and maybe for the rest of the future if they actually are so tight-knit?
Look, listen, if they work well together, then that's a good sign for the transfer windows ahead for next summer and for next season and so on and so forth. However long Conte is here, as long as he works well with Paratici, then the future is bright. Because, I mean, like, these two have worked together in the past. They know how to work together. Shoes gone flying anyway. And so, like, they have a good working relationship from the sound of things. Things like, I mean, especially if they're eating together and all that stuff, staying together and all this crack. Like, so, I mean, fair play to them if that's the case. Like, it's like, well done. So, there's really not much else I could say about that. I mean, Paratici and Conte, although I thought actually at the start of the window, Conte was giving vibes that, he was just letting Paratici handle the transfers himself. And I don't think that would be a great idea. Because, Conte is a smart manager. I mean, just all you have to do is just take a look at his trophy cabinet and we'll see proof of that. Fabio Paratici knows how to sign players, I think, anyway, like quality players. There's an even absolute steals. He was like, so two of them working well together, that's like the third time I said that, can work really well for us, and can hopefully drive us up the table, even and stuff. I mean, just top four as soon as possible with this dynamic duo and the trophy as well is the main goal all now for all of us.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I feel like hopefully, they do some tandem biking, kind of together. I just hope, they just do everything together, maybe just can't separate them. That's what I want to see. But Brian Daigle, I mean, with Paratici, kind of saying this about Antonio Conte, do you feel like this means that Conte is probably getting what he wants?
Listen, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and as I said, as I said in a comment just before, if there's a player Conte desperately wants in the summer, and he can only get it in the summer, then I am totally with him for not buying a player as a make weight. And when I'm talking about this, I often use the Van Dijk deal, because when Van Dijk wanted to go to Liverpool in the summer before he went in January, they kept trying to get him. Van Dijk put in a transfer request. They still didn't let him go. John, let me know. I have turned it down. Hopefully it's better. You said that a little while ago. I have turned it down, so hopefully it's not as loud and
boisterous, Brian. Boisterous is the word you're looking for.
So yeah, get back to Van Dijk, and then obviously Van Dijk it got nasty, and then Liverpool even well documented saying they said to Klopp, "Listen, we can go get you another defender. Do you want us to go get him?" And then they said, "No, we'll wait till Christmas." And that's exactly what they did. Now, the difference with that is obviously it was very, very well documented what was happening with Van Dijk and Liverpool and what was going on, where Spurs have done everything under the radar, or haven't done at all. We don't know. And I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm not going down this road. So we don't know, and maybe there is things going on in the paperwork back end. And if Conte said to Paratici, "Listen, I'll wait for this guy in the summer," then fair play, wait for the guy in the summer. Obviously, with Paratici doing that video, I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted that
He's done like 3 of them now, I think, right? He's done like 3 of them.
It's fine. I mean, you look at Christian Perslow at Aston Villa now. They are talking always. It's been about great things. All right, selling Grealish, but they explain why, and they explain what they're doing for the club. Then when they signed Coutinho and Lucadinha, he came out again, and it was all positive. Whereas Paratici's had to come out when maybe it's not so positive. Maybe it's not all been skittles and rainbows, as I like to say. So he's come out and for the first time, and I will give him huge credit for this. I'm still in the mire of what he's doing for the club. Him communicating goes a hell of a long way. Whether you like to hear what he's saying or you don't, the fact he is massive. Is massive, and he deserves a lot of respect from that, because there could be a lot of fallback, a lot of slack from people like myself and people from the Spurs fan base. But you've got to give him a lot of respect for coming out and doing videos like that.
Absolutely.
So like I said, when it comes to attempting to get players in the summer, if that is going in the back end and it is completely under the radar, I mean, let's face it, Kulusevski and Bentancur came out of nowhere right at the death. So maybe there is something going on, and if that's what we're doing, then I'm totally fine with what's going on behind the scenes. It's just having that communication is so key in today's football that we're getting it.
It's nice to see the transparency from Paratici. Absolutely. Dave, Paratici was emphasizing, as well as Conte has emphasized, mentality lots of times. Just as much as Paratici was talking about how much they speak together, he was also saying mentality a lot. And does this maybe show how important it is to maybe have the right mentality for the manager more than it is to even have the right talent? Do you feel like maybe this is something that Paratici and Conte are kind of, working on together, is finding players that not only are good with the ball at their feet, but also can listen to instructions and play as a team and work under the manager and not be kind of the players that I guess we just got rid of, kind of the prima donna sort of players?
Look, the reason why Paratici and Conte can work together is purely because Conte is a world-class manager. He's a guy that, whatever player he wants to bring in here, it's to fit the mentality of the dressing room. It's because they're quality and they can execute the basics. And that's why these two are working together. I mean, if we had Nuno in here, you're always going to have a case where Paratici is buying the players for the club and Nuno has to work with them. But this time round, Paratici can go to Conte and say, what players do you want? And go and deliver on it, purely because we know we have a world-class manager. And I can see the benefits of them working together already, Jack, because we bought quality over quantity. Quantity is the reason why we got ourselves in this whole debacle in the first place, because we were bringing in players, or we had a set amount of money. We were making it stretch out over, sometimes 5-6 positions. Like that window we had on Jose Mourinho was absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? And you're not bringing in any sort of quality whatsoever. Whereas this time round, I firmly believe Conte and Paratici, they're both of the same mind. They're like, we'll get quality in, but if there's not quality in other positions that we want to sign, well, then we'll hold out for the summer. And I'm okay with that. Because the last thing, and I'm okay with them two working together like that, because the last thing we want is Antonio Conte getting pissed off with the way the club is run. The players are bringing in, the club's bringing in players for Conte and saying work with them, even though he doesn't believe they're good enough. So the two of them working together, we're starting to see the benefits of it in this window by getting in the quality and not the quantity. And I'm happy that Paratici has a manager that he believes he can give the manager what he wants to do and able to improve this squad going forward. So I'm absolutely delighted to see them both working together, to be honest with you, Jack, because Antonio Conte is an elite manager. Paratici is an elite sporting director, or whatever you want to call him, director of football, whatever the term is. And to see the two of them working together to deliver the very best for Tottenham Hotspur, I'm absolutely delighted with. I just want to take this comment from Azad. The reason why I can do it, my man, is because I'm a fan. I don't put on the jersey. I'm not paid to train. I'm not paid to play games. I'm a fan. I'm allowed to be a fat ass. Someone that's on 200 grand a week that costs 65 million. There's no way he should be a fat ass. So that's why I call him a fat ass.
Well said, David.
Cleared up, Dave.
Yeah.
Cleared up, Dave. Well done, my man. Well done, my man.
Week
I
in a
could
row.
just hear that
I'm a fan.
Eminem
I can
song,
hear
Arse Like That, in the background. All I could hear is Arse Like That from Eminem in the background of that speech. All I could hear.
To bottom Duda here saying Conte won't walk away. He doesn't have many options either. Spurs and Conte are perfect for each other. He is here to develop. I see Spurs ruling soon. I see Spurs rule soon. This is maybe an inside theory that I've kind of had before. It seems a bit too good to be true, but potentially the case that Conte is actually here maybe for a project of sorts. I mean, we have yet to really see a lot of managers across world football in the past, like probably 5 or 6 years. You know, you don't really see many managers stay longer than 3 or 4 years. They seem to have a very kind of a, small tenure. Whereas maybe the only one I might say of recent memory is maybe like Pep. Seems like Pep has had maybe the longest sort of stint, or maybe Jurgen Klopp as well. Perhaps Antonio Conte could be that Pep or that Jurgen Klopp at Spurs. I mean, this could be the case, but Dave, I'm not sure. Could Conte actually be a project manager for us of some kind? I think we want to achieve things with him right away, but maybe he is here for the long run.
I mean, look, he's the guy that, at some stage, Jack, we have to sit there, trust the manager, back his ideas, back his plans, and get the players in that suit them in order to bring us to that level where you want to challenge. You look at Chelsea this year. Yeah, they won titles before, but this year they're up against managers of Klopp and Guardiola have been at their club years. Look how far they've tailed off the top of the league, and they constantly sack and rotate managers. You look at Liverpool and City, arguably two of the most successful teams over the last few years in English football. What do they have? A steady manager, and they back that manager, they back the ideas, they back the philosophies. And that's what we need to do at Tottenham Hotspur. And if we do this with Antonio Conte, we will be league champions in a few years. We will be. I'm convinced. Antonio Conte is a world-class manager.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And to bottom Duda, great talking point. And I hope he is that project manager. And good to see you in here, to bottom Duda. Really appreciate support. Brian Ireland, I mean, do you feel like, with Paratici's words as well, he kind of was speaking about the dressing room, saying we need to have the right dressing room, with players who follow the coach and follow the ambition of the club and what targets they're trying to reach. He says we need persons before players, or we need people before players, kind of more connecting to that mentality sort of thing. Do you think these kind of words that Paratici is talking about, do you maybe think that's what kind of explains the whole Lo Celso, Dembele, or Ndombele, Dele Alli kind of offload, because they were just players that just didn't fit the dressing room, they didn't fit the dynamic, they didn't fit the ambition? Is that maybe why he offloaded them, and maybe Conte offloaded them? They just didn't fit the bill in terms of mentality.
I think that's likely true. I mean, based on what I had said earlier, when it comes to sort of all the team and the players and the club itself going in the same direction, and when you have important players who you spend a lot of money on in the squad who aren't, living up to what they're supposed to be living up to from their previous experience at Spurs, like Dele Alli or Tanguy Ndombele, who was our record signing at 60 million plus, and just never did anything we expected him to, and then had a shitty attitude about it. So yeah, if you're Paratici and you're Conte, you're looking for characters. You're looking for winners who want to win with a team, who can make the players around them better and bring the squad together. I do think that based on just briefly getting into these two new players that we brought, that they are the right type of players. We need more of them though. There's a couple more positions I think that we're going to need those types of leaders and those types of players. But yeah, I completely agree. I think that had to happen. That those players leaving was arguably the most important first thing to do before anything else happened. So I'm happy with it, and I think Paratici and Conte are spot on with that approach and making sure that that's the type of players we're targeting.
Absolutely. I think you have to be, you can't have any, you have to be one unit, you have to be one team under one mission, under one identity, under one mentality. And we had a few people that just weren't able to get on board, But Brian, Paratici also did kind of finish off by saying the end of January, it's just 1 point in the season. I would like to say thanks for your support in every game. It is amazing to play here in the stadium, and away, they are always with us. We need them. We need their energy, their positive energy, because if we are to achieve our results, we need every one of us to give the right energy. Brian Daigle, does this message kind of show how important maybe the role of us fans can play between maybe now and the end of the season? We are kind of getting a bit excited about top four, but perhaps he is kind of just saying, you know, we have to be behind the team, behind the mission, behind the players in order to really maybe get there.
So I will say this part on this whole part of, I'm not going to bring protest, but the one thing I will say is, listen, people, whether you leave you in or leave you out, all are there to support the team. When I go into the game,
the team
and like I said, when I go into that ground, I get given tickets because of people I know and people that aren't going, and they're like, I've got a spare ticket. I don't give Levy any of my money. I go in there to support the boys. I don't go in there to support the board.
Right.
Everyone goes in there, whether you leave you in or leave you out, and I'm talking mainly to the leave you outers here. We go in to support the teams. We go in to support the team. When teams up, when it isn't going right, it's when the frustration turns to where we think it's solely deserved on. There's no doubt about the role that the Spurs fans play. There's no doubt about the role, whether you're watching it in the ground, in the pub, in a different country, in a different time zone. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, wants the best for the boys. And I can tell you now, I mean, I had the privilege of being a season ticket holder for 10 years. I've had the privilege, like I said, going when I've been back in the country because of last time and this time. And the fans are always there. The fans are always there. I mean, I just need to go back to the game when I was at Leicester and you saw the scenes. Look, I mean, to say I was honoured to be at that ground and you can see what the fans do and what they can do for the team. But as much as what we can do for the team can G us up. Well, if it's a boring game or nothing's happened, one crunching tackle, one bit of dedication, one bit of commitment, and it just rallies the troops and it goes there. It's part and parcel. Yes, the fans are vitally important, but when there's not a lot going on the pitch, obviously we support them, but it goes to other avenues as well. Listen, the fans have a huge part in it. I still think, and I'm not just saying it because of my son, I still think top four is a push. I still think, don't get me wrong, the way it's set up right now and mathematically the way that other teams aren't taking points, it's there. But if all teams hit firing at the same time, I think it's just too far. I think it's just too far. But I would say if we have a decent window in the summer, top four isn't a possibility. Top four is a certainty with Conte.
Love that.
If he gets in who he wants, and again, I'm not talking about going to spend £100 million on players or a player or 150 million. If Conte gets what he wants, and he goes right, I'm happy, I'm ready to go. Top four. I don't put. It's a guarantee. It's that simple. A whole season with him doing what he needs, he's guaranteed top four. It's just a case of where in that top four do we come. Like I said, what I think will happen with us this season, I think there'll be a push. I think there'll be a right push at the end. And I think we may, just because of depth, come a bit short. Don't get me wrong. If all the players that we have, that Conte has us, let's say starting full team, let's say including 3 subs, if they can all stay fit, if they can all stay at a decent level of form, then I think we have every chance of doing it. But asking that is a huge ask.
Do you know what, Brian? I hear what you're saying about squad depth, but that's in terms of if you look at the numbers. Tell me what Ndombele, what Dele Alli and Lo Celso offered anyway. So whatever that number was, take 3 off it straight away. We have improved. We've brought in Bentancur and Kulusevski. So we have actually improved the depth of this squad.
That part I understand, but let's say 2 or 3 midfielders get an injury. We're looking at what we saw at the Chelsea game when you got a Harvey White or Dane Scarlett on the bench. That's where I'm getting at. I'm not saying, because we've lost Dele, because I'm talking just solely numbers, not the quality of player. I'm just talking simple mathematics. And if it gets to a point where let's just say we have a couple of injuries, then a couple of suspensions or a suspension, then you're looking at that bench that we saw against Chelsea where there may be a Harvey White. Now, I love Harvey White and I want him to get game time. And I've been on this show more than others speaking how much I love Alfie Devine and cannot wait till Alfie Devine gets in that bench, gets into that squad and plays regularly. I cannot wait. I am looking. I love him. I'm just talking solely if we do get a few injuries. Yes, what you're saying is right, David. But when you're looking at now the people, because we haven't got Belly and all those who wouldn't have done anything, you're looking at a Harvey White or whatever, whereas other teams will have a more forceful bench or powerful bench on their side. That's what I was trying to get at with that part. Nothing to do with those players that have gone because they were offering nothing.
Can I add something? Can I add something to this real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just in regards to that, I agree with most of what Brian's saying. What I disagree with is that the teams around us, none of them strengthened. None of them brought in players that are going to improve their squad. None of them removed players that are going to improve their squad. And we, with 2 games in hand, if we win those 2 games, we're ahead of all of them, including Chelsea. So I think getting into top 4 is even with a couple of injuries, and you would have to assume that every other team is going to have a similar scenario. We have the best chance of finishing in top 4 currently out of the 4 teams that are in that conversation. And arguably there's really only 3. West Ham aren't going to be in it, but Arsenal, United, Spurs certainly right now with where we sit in the league with the points we have the best chance of finishing top 4, even if we do end up getting a couple players injured. I think our squad depth is enough to get us there, mathematically speaking. And of course, Brian, I'm not completely disagreeing. I do recognize that it is Spurs and we don't know what these players are going to offer and that they're going to necessarily be the things that will get us there. But on paper, we have the best chance of it.
All I'll add on top of that very quickly, one sentence, is mathematically, we are completely in the front run. We are completely, if we do what we need to do, there is no debating it. Mathematically, top 4 is ours. Mathematically, on paper, done.
Form wise, too, though, Brian. I mean, form wise, we only lost once under Conte, and that was to the European champions. In the the 9 games or 10 games he's been with us. So,
no, all those parts are right. We're just talking a really grueling part. So yes, we're over Christmas, but obviously, this is where push comes to shove. And when you look at, and I'm only going to say Man United. When you look at Manchester United, that club, not the squad. That club has had years and years and years of when it matters showing up.
They're crap right now. They really are.
Yeah, they may be average now, but their fundamentals and everything they stand for, they have got the job done. 9 times out of 10 when need be, because they know how to get that part done, and we know what happens with us when we know what needs to be done, like finals, like semi-finals. We
only have 3 top 6 teams left to play for the rest of the season. We have the best run in as well.
And that's the thing. We have to take advantage of that. If we don't win any of those,
we do.
No, I agree. Even if we don't win any of those, though, when we win the rest, we're still way above everybody else.
The benefit of a smaller squad, I would say the benefit of a thinner, smaller squad, it does mean then that you are kind of more unified. There aren't as many people that are kind of left out of the team. There aren't as many kind of outcasts or kind of pariahs. They're basically everybody is behind the manager. The manager is concentrating on every single one of them, able to get the best out of all of them. I would say there are a lot of benefits of actually a smaller squad. I forget which Conte uses smaller squads. Bielsa, to a degree, uses really small squads. Pochettino, when you kind of think about it, used kind of a small squad. When you do kind of have a certain philosophy, a certain kind of way of playing, sometimes a smaller squad helps because then, you at least have players that know exactly what they're doing for the manager and want to do it for the manager, even more importantly.
Just sorry, David, you go first. I mean, if you look at the squad numbers, like I said, it's simple maths. But look beyond the squad numbers. I mean, like I keep saying, take 3 of them off that initial squad number in the first place because they never played. Add the 2 that we've already got in. We have actually strengthened, improved the squad in terms of depth because Bentancur now comes in and offers something. Unlike Lo Celso, Ndombele, and Dele Alli. That's 1 extra player that now comes in and offers something. Kulusevski in the forward area now comes in and offers something. So that's another player that now comes in and offers something. Now do the maths, my man, and come back to me. Thank you.
Well, the thing as well, Kulusevski, is I saw in the comments, it's even Conte that said it might be a right wing back. So, he's got that attacking. But what I will say with what you said, Jack, and you brought up Pochettino, that's a new manager we had. Pochettino
is Italian brother.
Pochettino. The one thing I will say with that is when you look at the squad Pochettino had back then, and I'm going to use 2 positions in to try and get my point across. When you look at the right back and left back, you had Davies and Rose, and you had Trippier, and you had Walker. Now, he kept rotating them because what Pochettino had was a system where it didn't matter who dropped in, they knew their job, and it was players that we all know during that peak Poch, every single player that got on that pitch you trusted every single time. Now we look at right back, for instance, now Doherty or Emerson, and if them two are out, it's not like right you could just put something. You got Doherty who's been doing better, but sometimes Doherty's gone over to left back when Sessegnon or Reguilon can't do there. So I think with Poch, the squad that he had and what he had there. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Poch, Conte can build that. But when you go back to Poch had such a system where everyone knew what they were doing. Everyone knew if you're in Vertonghen, like when Kevin Wimmer came in for Vertonghen, that he weren't great the next part, but Vertonghen went out and we're all like, oh, sugar of all defenders. No. Kevin Wimmer came in, and because let's face it, Wimmer can't even lace up Vertonghen's boots. But because the team unity was set, this is what we do, this is how we move, this is when we do. The whole team was there. Now, I'm sure Conte will get that and implement that, and I'm sure we'll be looking at those times again. But right now, I just don't think he's got the personnel to be able to have as much for the fans to have as much trust as we did in whatever Poch was doing. But I think he will get there without a doubt.
I think, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like if he does have a smaller squad and he's gotten rid of a lot of players that he's wanting to get rid of, then even if they are limited players, like you were saying with Doherty and Emerson, maybe they can actually still, at the end of the day, they will be fighting for Conte and they will be battling for Conte.
Yeah,
that's kind of all that you want. And I think you would say the same thing with Kevin Wimmer, where Kevin Wimmer, he knew what he was doing under Poch, wasn't a great player, but I think you could probably say the same thing with Emerson and Doherty, hopefully. But Dave, I think we got something to plug, or should we move on to the next?
No. We'll plug it quickly. The two Brians and Adam, we just have to move you for like 1 minute, and then we'll bring you back in.
No worries, buddy.
Cool, mate.
So, this show is sponsored by Manscaped, everybody, of course, and Valentine's Day is coming up, and it's right around the corner, and you do not want any hair to disturb what goes on Valentine's Day. So you need to get onto Manscaped. You need to get that Performance Package 2.0. It covers you. It gives you the razor. It gives you the floor mat. It gives you a t-shirt. And may I add, the boxers, the best pair, most comfy pair of boxers I've ever worn. And I'm actually not even saying that. That is genuinely true. And not only that, but it gives you the care for after. It gives you that ball deodorant, that ball toner. What more do you want? It is the perfect, the ultimate Valentine's Day package. So, at Manscaped, they're giving you 20% off plus free shipping as well. And trust me, it will make all the difference to your Valentine's Day.
There you are. Everybody join the 4 million men worldwide and joining the leaders of below the waist grooming. I would say, everybody, Valentine's Day fastly approaching. If you did not get yourself something for the holidays, might as well get yourself something now, or even ladies as well. Maybe get that special someone something just to maybe keep everything nice and tidy when it comes to Valentine's Day. Everybody, we're going to continue to plug during this Valentine's kind of build up sort of period. I think it's the best time to maybe take care of yourself down under. Lots of things from the performance package to the ball wipes to basically everything you can take care of. Also, even colognes and other things as well, if you even have that all taken care of. But everybody, please head on over to manscaped.com. Use the code FLATCAP to get 20% off plus free shipping as well off of your order. And we do thank Manscaped for sponsoring this episode of the Irish Hotspur.
No, 100%. Big up, Manscaped. Thank you very much for sponsoring this episode. And I'm just going to leave it on nice, short and sweet. You wouldn't let your lawn get overgrown, so why would you let downstairs get overgrown? Get on to Manscaped. Everything you need to know is in the community section, pinned in the chat. Just get over to manscaped.com. Get your orders in. Trust me, that extra few inches, we all know it can make a difference, and that's what you're going to need Valentine's Day. So make it happen. But look, Jack, let's keep moving on, my man.
Let's keep moving on. Get back to the show. Bring the guests back in here. But Brian, I do believe, maybe one more question, and then I think you do have maybe some other places to be. So we are going to give it to you. Steve Hitchen, Brian, has been sacked. Steve Hitchen has resigned from his role as Director of Technical Performance at Tottenham Hotspur. Hitchen joined Spurs as their chief scout in February 2017 during his promotion in 2020 to the role of Technical Performance Director, which the club said would have responsibility for scouting, performance, recruitment analysis, and youth recruitment. Hitchen oversaw a period in which Spurs broke their transfer record on Tanguy Ndombele and signed Giovanni Lo Celso in that same summer. in 2019 at a combined eventual cost of 115 million pounds and then also include a host of other bad signings as well. Just how much of this responsibility do you feel like needs to be given to Steve Hitchen, Brian, considering, the situation we are in with our squad and everything? Do you feel like Hitchen, how much responsibility do you think like he needs to take?
Okay, so Steve Hitchen is a hard one for me to talk about. And the reason it's hard for me to talk about is the great man himself, Bob Spur, spoke about him a lot and is very public with his speaking about him, saying, and if you look at it, Bob speaks facts with it. You look at people, he was there trying to sanction a lot of deals, Skriniar being the one I'm going to bring up. And obviously the deal, he was there doing what he did. And then when it came to it, the money just wasn't being offered. Now, Hitchen did get these people speaking. Hitchen did start enticing, but there is no doubt that he was trusted with a lot of money and he spent it very, very badly. He also said that what a stupid quote that he said in a documentary about hating January. I mean, we all know the January window is hard and can be tough, but when you have your chief scout and the person you send out for battle in this month to go, yeah, I hate January. Well, that's just fantastic. That's just
hate doing his job. That's
like sending a real message out to. It must be a bitch traveling around the world and staying in 5-star hotels and going across on private jet. I mean, it must be a real bitch. I mean, being on the phone the whole time, it must be such a pain when there's people that are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs to support their family and put food on the table. I mean, what a stupid comment to say. Listen. He tried to do a lot of good. I'm not as people said, I'm not getting into any Levy debates right now. I just don't have the energy, strength, or temper management, anger management to deal with it. Fair. Listen, a lot of deals could have been done. They didn't. Whether it was Hitchen, whether it was that person, it's hit or miss. But if you look back at his time, yes, he smashed the transfer record. But let's look what happened with that transfer record. It weren't a good light. Some of the players that came in. The money, if we hadn't have done it and done what, like David was saying before, about a lot out and quality in, we could have had a Fernandez. We could have had so these players could have come in. I think the real big test to see and judge, and this will be a real key indicator, will be if he goes to Everton, which it looks like, I don't know if that's official and he is at Everton or it looks like it's going to happen. If Everton this summer start dropping big money or not even big money, but money for stars, and the deals are going through quickly and they're going through, yep, done. Then I think we're going to get a bit more of a clearer indication of who was at full or who was in the running. Listen, Steve Hitchen was at Spurs for quite a while. I thank him for his service. It hasn't worked. It's been a flop. Let's face it, it's been a flop. And we'll see now. Now, it kind of reminds me, do you remember when Liverpool had Gerard Houllier come in and help Roy Evans and they were together for a while? And we're like, this is a match made in hell. This ain't going to last long. And by Christmas, Evans left the club, and Evans had been affiliated with that club for ages. I think as soon as we signed Paratici, the writing was on the wall for Hitchen. It looked all nice at the beginning. They were just on the sidelines together, and it looked like they were communicating, and they were doing bits and pieces. Well, obviously, it wasn't all. Again, skittles and rainbows in that department, and the authoritative one being the alpha male being Paratici is now taking control. We heard it when he said the whole scouting network is being revamped. That's Paratici. That's not Hitchen and Paratici going, right, this is what we're doing. This is Paratici coming in and saying, right, what the hell is this? This is like amateur. I want to turn this into what it can be. So listen, I wish Hitchen, like I wish Levy, I wish him all the fucking best in his world when he pisses outside of my club. But listen, I wish him all the best. Hitchen has gone. He was one of the problems. Let's face it, he was. It's hard for me to talk about because, like Bob always mentions, like the Skriniar, like the Dybala, he was in Italy and he was there trying to do it. He just, for whatever reason, couldn't get it over the line. But am I happy he's out the club? If I had a party hat and one of those party blowers, I would be blowing it right now, loud and proud. But yeah, so on that note, I'm gonna leave. So I'm gonna go to my sister's 40th birthday celebrations. But what I will say, I'll leave my 2 brothers to do the plug for the channel. But I do know in the live chat, Brian, I just want to say this now. We put in the private chat, there's a GoFundMe link for the mental health show that we did yesterday. And it's something of huge importance to Tottenham on tour. And I think we raised so far over $700 to give to
$702 as of currently.
$702 at the moment
Nice.
to split between
Beautiful.
two charities, and we are trying to do it for the rest of the month. So if at any point, David and Jack, you could just
Put it in at the end.
yeah, that just so we could do that. That's all I'm gonna plug about the show. I'll leave the rest for David and Adam. But I will say to the Flat Cap Army, I wish you all a very, very, very happy weekend. To my boys, David and Jack, always a pleasure. Love you both, and we'll speak to you soon. And to my boys, see you later. Love you loads as well. And, peace out.
Cheers,
and I'm
man.
off to go to have some Friday night celebrations with my
Beautiful.
sister and my nephews and niece. So
Beautiful.
see you later. Have a great weekend and speak soon.
Catch
Enjoy
you, Brian.
yourself, Daigle.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy
yourself.
man.
All right, that was beautiful from Daigle. I actually thought he covered a lot actually when it came to Hitchen. Actually, there he actually
Yeah,
covered
he said
a lot.
it sounded like he
Broke
wasn't going to say anything, and then he just went on a rant.
Broke it all down there. Broke it all down there for us.
More than my mind, anyway.
Yeah.
But Brian Ireland, I mean, how much do you feel like, Steve Hitchen, how much blame does he need to take maybe for the situation that
I was thinking about this as the question was presented, and I do think he has to take quite a bit of it, but at the same time, the club have to take a bit of it for lack of stability. We're not having a consistent manager, or for sacking managers probably when you shouldn't be, and not backing them correctly. You're kind of putting that department of the club in a difficult situation, because they don't know who they're buying for. They're just buying quality that isn't necessarily directed to a style or to a system. Whereas you got Conte and Paratici, who obviously know each other. Paratici knows that Conte wants to play a certain way, and he's looking for players to fit into his system. That connection, and those two doing those things, is very positive. Hitchen was just kind of flying by the seat of his pants by the looks of it, and again, not having a specific manager for a long enough period of time that he knew that he could be buying players for. So not to totally slag him, but I also think, like Brian talked about his comments in the documentary, it was absurd. This stuff he said, I was just like, come on, mate. You don't say you hate a transfer window if that's your bloody job. Like, it's your job, even if you do. Like, I mean, you just don't say it. You're not helping yourself. So I think he deserves some of the blame for some of the players that came in, but I think the club as a whole deserves the blame for not having this organized properly in the first place, and sacking managers willy-nilly, and not really like defining what it is that they're expecting from that department, no matter what manager's there, and that the players that they buy have the certain type of character, period. And we didn't do that with the players we brought in. The character wasn't a key reason, which it was under Pochettino. When Pochettino left, it just became a bit of a mess. So I blame the club as much as I blame Hitchen.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I actually will say, for me personally, I just kind of would put a lot of blame on him, to be honest. But to you, Adam, do you feel like, maybe Steve Hitchen bears a lot of responsibility for maybe the situation that we're in? Or do you think maybe there are other figures or other maybe factors that kind of explain the situation that we're in? Or do you feel like Hitchen is somebody that should bear a lot of responsibility?
No, I think he should take a fair amount of responsibility for what's happened over the past few years, and just some of the flops that we have, and that we've naively called transfers. Like I mean, just Ndombele as just one prime example out of many. Like, he's our most expensive player, and look what happened. Like, I mean, I feel embarrassed to say that, but I mean, at the same time, there are definitely other factors involved. I know we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I mean, come on, like, I mean, I think a person with half a brain cell would know all that. Like, I mean, one person can take responsibility for some of the mess that this club is after getting itself in the past 3 years. Even though, thankfully, now thanks to Conte and Paratici, we're starting to come out of that mess, but it's taken some effort. Like, and I think Hitchen, I'm glad to see him go. I mean, all honesty, because I mean, him there, it just wasn't working. Like, I mean, I could be wrong, actually. Speaking of that, I think he was there from 05 to 10 as well, but he wasn't just as in a big of a role as he was in 17. And to be fair, we got some good players in that time, but we also got in some absolute dreadful ones. Like, oh my god! Like, I mean, do we remember Giovanni Dos Santos? I mean, next Ronaldinho, my arse. I mean, to see the back of him, it's a good thing. And like someone actually said in the comment section earlier, it's a step in the right direction. Now Paratici has more room to work, which I think is brilliant. Because I thought, for a while that maybe Levy was holding back, but actually now that I think we can give it a bit more of it, maybe Hitchen being there, whether it was intentional or not, that was also stopping Paratici from working his magic. I think we've all seen, also in the Tottenham community, that absolute it was brilliant meme like of the chef going full blast in the kitchen like with the big pan and stuff. So I want that translated into football, and I want Paratici to be at the helm of that, at like managing it. So or like so I mean that's one chapter closed us now, and I'm glad it's closed and we can just move on to the chapter of Paratici the Don.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go on a small bit of a rant here, so just kind of bear with me on this one. I blame Hitchen for the sacking of Pochettino, because the players that he brought in outside of what we already had before he came here, they haven't been good enough. So when the players that we did have end up getting older and Pochettino was looking around for players to use, the players that were in them positions, absolutely crap. I blame him for Jose Mourinho sacking. Whether people like to agree or not, the guy is a world-class manager. He's won things everywhere he's gone, bar Tottenham Hotspur. You look at the players he brought in for Jose Mourinho to deal with. Joe Hart, Matt Doherty, Sessegnon, Clark. I mean, seriously. Are we really going to expect Jose Mourinho to do stuff with these guys? Nuno, I don't really care about. But for me, look, I'm going to go through the signings he's made. Gazzaniga, one fight. Serge Aurier, Sanchez, Clark, Lo Celso, Ndombele, Sessegnon, Bergwijn, Jedson, Fernandez, Hart, Doherty, Rodin, and Vinicius. 14 players there, all flops. Players that you would say kind of worked out: Lucas Moura, Llorente, Bale, and then Reguilon and Højbjerg. That's 19 signings. 14 is flops. He has wasted money at this club. For me, as yes, everything goes back to the top. I get that. But if I'm someone in Levy's role and I'm employing people in certain positions, I also expect them to fulfill their roles. He hasn't done it. Not only that, he was friends with a lot of these players. That also came out. If he's friends with these players, how are we asking him to get rid of them?
Yeah.
Of course he's not going to be able to get rid of them. Yeah. Because they're going to come to him and say, well, look, I don't want to go here. I want to go there. Can you make that happen for me, Steve? Steve's going to be like, yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? I'm your buddy. Let's go for a pint. We'll try and make it happen. And that's why we've held on to a lot of these players for so long. The money that this guy has spent and what he spent it on, atrocious. The managers that have the default has been named at their door. Jose Mourinho and Pochettino. Absolutely shocking. You look at the scouting department. Absolutely shocking. And the whole reason why we've got into this mess is because over time he wanted to spend on quantity and not quality. And that's why we were put into this situation where you had to bring in someone like a Paratici to be able to steer this ship in the right direction, because it goes, honestly, sometimes I feel like someone in the Spurs team is listening to this channel, because how many times have I said before, it can't constantly be in the manager. Now, if we had like a Nuno, a Graham Potter and an Eddie Howe, then you could sit there and say, oh, maybe it is the managers. But when you've got 3 out of the 5 elite managers in world football, in Pochettino, Conte, and Jose Mourinho, it cannot be their fault. It just cannot. It's Steve Hitchen's fault. The reason why we were in a position where we were in this position over the last couple of windows where we had to sell first before we buy is because of Steve Hitchen. That's where that transfer model came out of, because we had so much on the wages, so much deadwood here that we could not offload. And under him, if we still had him and he was still in charge, you're still looking at another 3, 4, 5 years, we have to sell before we buy. And he was never going to get us out of it. And this for me is where, I know people may not want to hear this, but this for me is where I give a bit of praise to Daniel Levy, because he made that call. He could see what was happening under Steve Hitchen. Look, he should have sacked him. He didn't. He changed his role and brought in Paratici to kind of put things right. And I do think at Tottenham Hotspur, now that he's gone, now that some of them deadwoods are gone, I actually believe that now we are turning a corner and there's positive going forward. You can see where we're trying to go. You can everything this guy done was drag the club down. Now, I understand why we went and got him. This was a guy, when he was at Tottenham earlier on in his career, he brought in the likes of a Luka Modric, players like that. I can understand that. At Liverpool, he brought in like Luis Suarez to Liverpool and stuff like that. And apparently he has tremendous contacts in the games, or in the game. but he never utilised them to his full full ability. And I think in a certain role of being a talent spotter, he's probably good. But in terms of tasking him to be able to bring this club to the elite level, it was never going to work out. Never, because he just doesn't have it in him to be able to do it. He doesn't have that cutthroat, that ruthlessness that the football business needs you to have. Football is a ruthless business. Paratici has that. Paratici doesn't have any connections or friends in the club. He came in here with a clean slate. He came in with an outside perspective, and he can clear house and bring us forward. Under Steve Hitchen, that was never going to be possible, because even down to the tea lady and everything else, they all loved Steve Hitchen in and around the club. But for me, it was that's why it was never going to work, because he had too many friends in Tottenham, and he was never really going to be the man and have that ruthless streak to be able to change it. And so thank God we brought in Paratici. Rant over. I do apologize.
Good. I think we're just going to keep the Hitchen, discussion going here with Kane the Long Shot super chat saying Levy is to blame for the lack of putting the money up for big deals Hitchen negotiated. But the fact that Conte and Paratici came in and said our scouting is trash falls entirely on Hitchen. I'm going to say my little piece here, but then Brian Ireland, I kind of want you to give yours maybe on Hitchen. My kind of feeling though is, even though maybe I agree that Hitchen hasn't been given the proper backing by Levy, you would say there are a lot of signings that we did just mention that were flops that he overpaid for. So when you do kind of think about it, it's like, is he really is it always Levy every time with it? Because sometimes he's overpaying for players. He overpaid for Sessegnon when you kind of think about it. He overpaid for Ndombele, overpaid for Lo Celso, overpaid for Jack Clark, overpaid for Joe Rodon, overpaid for a lot of players. And so I would say maybe he wasn't given all of the money that he would have liked. But to be honest, at a certain rate, I wouldn't trust him with all that money, because he's overpaying for a lot of bad players and a lot of players that didn't end up working at Spurs. So I kind of think about it like, yes, I understand he wasn't given blank checks by Levy, but I also feel like with the money he was given, he wasn't exactly doing a lot of good with it, and was also overpaying dramatically for these players and giving them huge wages and whatnot. You kind of think he's also wasn't even doing a good job to be in the first hand. Yes, he was limited, but in my opinion, Brian, I feel like he was limited, but he also still wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I like this comment. I think the comment is accurate in that it does start at the top, and he did get hired by Levy, but the failure of many of these deals and the cost that it is to the club, and especially with a tight chairman and a tight owner and tight ownership, if they're already tight and you get it wrong, and you get it as wrong as he did, as many times as he did, the writing's on the wall. It's just he isn't doing his job well, and I think David made a good point about the relationship with the players. How are you supposed to manage these situations when you need to get players out and you're friends with them? And he did come out and say that. So it's a bit of an odd one. I'm happy he's gone. It's clear that the situation of recruitment at Spurs has been poor for some time. Even under Pochettino, Pochettino made do with a difficult situation, and there hadn't been good recruitment before that when he came in. He just was such a good manager, especially with younger players, to make them play better, that he got the best out of a squad that arguably, were competing above their level for some time under Pochettino. So we haven't had good recruitment for a long time. There's been a couple players here and there. You get like the Dembeles and maybe you could say Luka Modric. Around that time there was some good stuff going on, but it's been a while since we've had good recruitment, and Hitchens just took it to the bottom. So yeah. I'm happy to see that we've got both the manager and the director, technical director of football, and the person taking care of these situations on the same page. And looking for the same type of players and the same type of things that are going to fit into the squad correctly, that are going to make us a better team. So I'm glad he's gone. It's the best thing that could have happened from that part of the club, for sure.
Well said. Kane the Long Shot, I completely agree with you when it comes to what he clearly showed about the scouting department, but I might disagree with you in the beginning here, because at the same time he was given, at least in certain cases, he was given 60 million to play with on a player, and turned out to be a huge flop. Given 45 million to play with on a player, turned out to be a huge flop. Given Jack, 30 million on a player.
150 million on an Ndombele and Lo Celso alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair bit of coin. So why would you want to give that guy a blank check, to be honest? Because he's not really doing very much with the money that he's already being given. I understand it's not a lot. And I understand maybe he wasn't allowed to get the Bruno Fernandezes of the world, but tough luck. I mean, that's what your job is to be able to find new players, to find the next best one. I just personally think he has a very cushy job, and he did not do very well with it. And I think now that we have Paratici in the door, we are starting to see the differences. But Kane, the long shot, just want to say, big yourself up, my man. Really do appreciate support. But to you, Adam, and these are like the last two questions, guys, I promise. Did Levy, do you feel like, start to grow to distrust maybe Hitchen with the funds? Do you feel like maybe the signing of Paratici was that signal maybe that Levy was kind of saying goodbye to his long lost friend, kind of starting to realize that, he couldn't really trust Hitchen anymore with the money that he gives him?
It really does seem like that, doesn't it? Like, it looks like it. I mean, I hate to give,
because they're buddies and everything, but maybe he just stopped trusting Hitchen, or just kind of gave up on him.
Yeah, exactly. If that's the case, then I hate to give the man credit because of all the bad things he's done for our club. But I have to give a credit where it's due, because as he bought in a great director of football, or a great scout at least, in Paratici, and is oft an absolute, just a subpar scout like Hitchen. Dave mentioned the 14 players there. When you're signing that many players and that many of them are being flops, or at least at the very most are just half decent, then something is wrong, and you're just not cut out for the job. And when you're in a club this big, because remember, this, especially historically, is a big club, you cannot afford to be bringing in that many players as flops. So, and also, I think a good point was made earlier about how he was too friendly with the club and how he wasn't ruthless enough. So Levy probably, if this is the case, of course, Levy probably saw that and said, hang on a second now, this can't go on. We already have a great scout here in Paratici. I've already bought this guy in during the summer. I don't need this other fella anymore. Or, maybe the two signings we made this January transfer window as well, it'll show Daniel Levy that, hey, I can trust this guy more than this fella, because these two guys at least looked like actual potentially good players, that can improve the squad a lot. So maybe those two signings were actually the final nail in the coffin for Hitchen.
Right. Yeah, maybe they were actually. Maybe they were. To be honest, I feel like that maybe was the case where Hitchen, was given a back role. I think he was given a backroom role behind Paratici, grew a bit frustrated with it. I think he's just kind of just torn up, just being tired of serving espressos to Paratici and watching Paratici undo and clean up all of the mess that he created. I think it probably just wasn't a good look for Hitchen, and maybe he's finally seen between the lines and has read that maybe he does need to, in fact, leave. But Dave, talk about this. Consider the fact that Spurs have gotten rid of a lot of players, gotten rid of Hitchen, and overhauled the entire scouting department. Do you think Tottenham fans should maybe be a bit excited about potentially this new era that we are heading into, that we are trying to maybe put things in place together? We're trying to rebuild. We're trying to undo all the mistakes from before. Do you think maybe this is something we could be excited about, that Spurs are kind of maybe fixing their mistakes to a degree with the fact that we've gotten rid of a lot of players, gotten rid of Hitchen, and overhauled the scouting department?
No, 100%. Look, I think we're bringing Steve Hitchen in. I think their idea was to bring us to an elite super club around Europe. That is the idea with the training complex and the stadium. But it just didn't work out. You're talking players that he signed to try and improve the first team that ended up being on the bench or backup. So there's 200-300 million that guy has wasted. That's not even in the first team. You can't keep continuing on with that sort of loss. 1 in 3 signings, correct. You can't keep continuing on with that. Now, I know some people are going to pull out 1 or 2 mistakes that Paratici has made, but you are going to make mistakes, but you just don't want to make as many as Steve Hitchen made. You can't condone that. And for me, I think there's definitely optimism and excitement going forward. You don't have players on large chunks of money who we all know, Levy in, Levy out, and Levy reform. Everybody, we all know. That the amount of wages they're on, you're going to struggle to get in players, because you do have to keep a wage budget. You can't just go out and spend what you want on wages, and you do have to keep within a budget. And for me, getting them off the books is absolutely massive. Overhauling the scout department, I think, is going to be absolutely huge for Tottenham, because at Tottenham, the thing is, you don't have to go and spend 600-700 million like City and Chelsea have done. Leicester have proven it.
Liverpool too, David.
Sorry, to Liverpool, who are middle of the road. if you spend right and you identify the right players to come in, like ideally what you want to do is you want to go to Conte, say, all right, Conte, what do you need? I need a midfielder, but these are the attributes I need in a midfielder. Then you go off and you go and identify that player, and that's what needs to happen at Tottenham. And you don't have to spend billions upon billions upon billions to be able to do it. You just have to sign right. You just have to sign the right mentality, a player that has the right hunger, a player that wants to win trophies, a player with the right mentality. And I do think that we're putting ourselves into a magnificent position. We've got the best stadium in world football. We've got the best training complex in world football. We've got one of the top 5 managers, elite managers in world football. We've now got a sporting director who has come in, and what I love about it, he's completely seen what's gone wrong, which is the recruitment and the players we've had. He's shipped them out in 6 months. Steve Hitchen has had 2-3 years to do this. He shipped them out in 6 months. So it goes to show, Jack, that this guy can operate in a market and that he can get out exactly what he needs to get out in any way possible. He's not going to run. He didn't run back to Daniel Levy on the Dele Alli deal and say, they're offering us, it's free up front, but if it works out, we're going to get 30 to 40 million. Steve Hitchen is never going to go back to Daniel Levy with that. He's just going to sit there and say, no, you already give us 30 million, you don't have him. Whereas Paratici looks beyond the numbers. Paratici looks into the squad. You look at the interview he done. He talks about the squad, the right mentality, the right quality. He also knows what ingredients you need to be able to make a good squad, to be able to make a competitive squad going forward. Steve Hitchen didn't. Steve Hitchen went to a manager and said, what positions do you need? Oh, well, Steve, because you're a mess, I need a centre-back, a right-back, left-back, centre-back, centre-attack, and midfield, and a striker. And Steve Hitchen turns around and goes, done. He brings in Carlos Vinicius, Matt Doherty, Joe Roden. The list goes on and on and on. And he's bringing in players just to fill positions rather than bringing quality players. And this is why I'm convinced, as Spurs fans going forward with Paratici at the helm, with Conte at the helm, I truly believe we can now progress into that club that we were always destined to be and that we wanted to be with this new stadium and the new training complex, which is being one of the elites in world football. We have an opportunity now to get to a point like Real Madrid and Liverpool have it, or like Real Madrid and Barcelona have it now. As soon as they come calling, people go. We have a chance to be able to get to that sort of elite level. Now, obviously, that comes with winning trophies and everything else. But we have everything in place now to be able to do it. We really do.
Rufus Roughcut, great name, saying, agree, Dave, but nobody expected Ndombele to be shite. French mates congratulated me when we got him. I will say, though, we all knew the talent was there, but did they check into the actual player's background? Did they check into the player's personality? Did they check into the player's sort of antics? They did not. And I think there was apparently a lot of evidence to suggest over at Lyon that there actually were early signs of Ndombele being the player that we all know him to be today, which is somebody that doesn't give a shit about the coach, doesn't give a shit about the club, only cares about himself. And there are apparently early signs of that over at Lyon. Apparently a lot of Lyon fans even knew about it, but we didn't we didn't do our research. We didn't do our homework.
I think it came from Jack from his previous club from that as well. I don't forget who it was.
Even before Lyon.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing problem for him that he has these issues. And so, for us to not recognize that and to spend that kind of money on a player that has even just a small amount of those issues, it's an absurd thing to do.
You think you're right. That's a good point. Like 60 million, you feel like
the wages he was on
maybe
the same
15 million, you don't do your homework, 20, 60 million. I think you do your homework. You should do your homework.
Yeah, and he was on the same wages as Kane, I think, at $200,000 a week. I mean, you bring in a player, get him close to the same as your best player in the team who's been there for his entire life, and he at 65 million, you've done something very wrong there.
And let's be honest, let's sit here and analyze this deal. Oh, sorry, Adam. Sorry, you go first, Mama.
No, so like what we're saying is that this guy has like Big Macs for the majority of his career. And we didn't bother to scout it or to ask about it.
Yeah.
100%. And this is what I'm going to say, right? We have to sit down, we have to ask ourselves, City were circling, Real Madrid were circling, Barcelona were circling. How did we get him over them 3 clubs? It's not because he wanted to come here. He chose us over them. Them other 3 clubs pulled out because they'd done the homework into the player. They'd done their research. And when they dig deep enough, they would have found out this guy has actually had fitness issues at every single club he's been at. Now, I can get it. You look at the guy. He's got an unbelievable amount of talent. But then you also have to weigh up, looking at him and what you know with this guy. Am I going to drop 60 million bombs on him? No. That's why City ran a mile, Barcelona ran a mile, Real Madrid ran a mile. But Tottenham didn't, because we would have looked good. All these other clubs were circling, but we got him. But they didn't want to tell us the proper details, is that this guy has had issues at every single club he's been at, and that's why they ran a mile. Now, if the price was 30 million, one of them clubs would have gambled on him. One of them managers would have said, you know what, 30 million, it's worth the risk. I believe I can get his mentality right. But like, you know, we paid 60 million. 60 million on a guy like that. It should always be in around 30 million, because you just don't know what way it's going to go. You know, and that's why he ended up here. I can get what people are saying. You know, people were telling him that this guy was good and all, but people that are in the footballing world, like, you know, people like Real Madrid, clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, you wonder why they've had the success they've had, because they do the homework into the players, into their personality, into their lifestyle. Just like Sir Alex Ferguson when he had his reign on the Premier League. 20 years weren't dominance, purely because he went in and he done his homework into the players. What way did they live their life off the field? What sort of personality are they in and around the club? Are they hardworking? Are they not? All these factors should have to be taken into consideration when you're signing when you're signing players, because yeah, you can go and sign players on just talent alone, but talent is not enough. You have to have the hard work, the right attitude, the application, and all the great managers see that, you know. And for me, I think now we have to start going down that route. If you want to be able to create the winning atmosphere like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and clubs like that who are in for this guy, you have to be doing your homework into the player a lot more. You really do.
Absolutely, Dave. Absolutely.
Can I just chuck something in here? Just a great quote from Conte today in his press conference in regards to players and what it means to be signed in the Premier League. He said, when you go to sign a new player, you have to consider many aspects, not if he shoots well or makes an assist. You have to be strong physically, and you have to run a lot, and you have to be resilient. I just thought that was sort of poignant, and
wow,
and he recognizes what type of player we need, fit from a physical and attribute, but also mentality wise as well. Yeah. So it's just impressive stuff from Conte.
Can't just be a good highlight package, everybody. It's got to be a bit more than that. It's got to be a bit more than that. But Rufus Rough Cut, excuse me. Great name again, I must say. Really do appreciate it, and great talking point as well. I do believe we just went through all the questions, Dave. So, I pass it off to you now. I think, that is the end of the show. I think we went through everything. Maybe some final words for maybe Adam and Brian, while we get your links up into the chat to plug you guys. Maybe any final words on the discussion? Any final words on the season or anything?
I think I just. Oh, so go ahead, David.
No, sorry, I don't know what's going on. It just says, "Oh no, sorry, yeah, it was a glitch in thing." It said one person was watching. I was like, "Where's everybody gone?" I'm not sure whether we made a mistake or not, but it's not. It's back now.
We started talking about Hitchen, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm done with this guy." Yeah, I'll just say my final comments on it are: it's just really nice to see the club doing the right things, and the right things coming out from the club, as far as Paratici in his interview and being upfront and letting everybody know what his plans are and what he's doing, and then of course Conte in his interview today to press conference, just speaking all of the truth that we all know about this club and what we want to see from our manager and what we want to see from an ambition standpoint. It's nice. It feels like despite the transfer window maybe not being as good as everybody expected it to be, it feels like post that we're all kind of moving in the right direction, and I'm really looking forward to starting to see now how this team's going to play with those guys out and with the new players in, and the mentality that's going to be there, and the quality that's going to be there. I'm really excited to see what happens this weekend, and of course what happens in moving forward for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Adam, any maybe final words on the season and whatnot?
Yeah, I just hope it goes well for us. Hope we can somehow get top 4 or at least the European place. And no, I'm not counting the freaking Z-Tech Conference League and that. I mean, come on, like, we're better than that now. And I think it's fair to say. I think top 6 is absolutely 100% possibility with this squad, even if like one or two players get injured. But like, imagine if like just for once luck is on our side and none of our players do get injured. I mean, I don't see why we can't at least push for top 4. So that's why I'm actually excited. I mean, Ian, I am a bit of a cynical fan. I have to be honest. I was like, Oh, I mean, to be honest, for the last 3 years, I've every right to be. But now, the second half of the season, with the players we bought, and even though they're only on loan, and bench warmers and all this crack, but I mean, Conte is the manager and Paratici is sporting director. I think that just those two things alone are enough for me to be excited. And the fact that players are coming back, things are actually looking good for us. All we have to do now is focus actually on the games we have coming up. And one game we have coming up is this weekend against Brighton in the FA Cup. We have to get that out of the way. We have to win. We have to progress so that we have a chance of winning that trophy, hopefully this season, and just move on from there. Take one game at a time and try and win every single one of them.
Take one at a time, try to win every single one. Absolutely love it, Adam. Absolutely love it. But there it is, everybody. Tottenham on Tours link is right here for you guys to head on over and give it that big forehead on the subscribe button as well. Please, they have lots of content coming out, lots of shows going on over there. Really
quickly on that, guys. We're doing this show. I think we said at the beginning, every week, whether it's on our channel or this channel. So a Thursday and Friday, we're going to flip in between those 2 days. So keep that in mind. It's a great way to start your Friday.
Love it. Well said, actually. Well said. Just like Brian said.
Do you want to explain this as well?
Yeah, sorry. This is the link to our charity for the mental health show we did last night. This will be up for the entire month. So if you can hop on over to the channel, the link is there as well in the description of the video, as well as pinned, I believe, at the top. But it's easy to access. Hop on over, give what you can. This is not a scenario where we expect a ton of money, but whatever you can give. It's a great two great organizations in CAMH and in Sport Against Suicide. So we really appreciate your support for that, and thank you for everybody who was on last night and who supported us last night as well.
Beautiful.
Legends. So look, guys, sorry, Adam. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying what said.
Yeah, and look, it doesn't have to be loads of money. You know what I mean? Even if you have a euro spare or something like that, just put it in it. It really will help people further down the line. Mental health. It's a big issue nowadays. A massive issue. I'm glad there's so much light being put on it. I really am, to be honest with you. And so, look, any little helps, it really does help. So,
thanks,
if you could, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Super chat here from Brian C. Socrates says, great stuff, lads. Looking forward massively to seeing us on the pitch tomorrow and how Conte integrates our new signings. It feels like a new phase is about to begin, onwards and upwards. And Jack, maybe we'll let you answer this one and then you can plug your channel too.
I feel like we are kind of embarking on maybe a new era. It feels like we're kind of undoing a lot of, mistakes from before, Brian, which takes a long time. I've said this before. Not only is Paratici cooking, he's also cleaning at the same time. He's having to clean up all the messes from Hitchen. He has to clean up, everything that Levy has done as well. You even just broke it down earlier on that last question, Brian. We just spoke about, or Socrates, we just spoke about the fact that we have gotten rid of our entire scouting department. We've revamped that, really have kind of reintegrated that one. We've gotten rid of Steve Hitchen. We've gotten rid of most of the big signings that Steve Hitchen has, brought in, as well as trying to get rid of more signings that he's brought in. We are basically trying to undo everything, which to a degree makes me happy because that at least recognize that we've made mistakes. That at least recognizes that we are not headed in the right direction. We weren't headed towards the right sort of goals. And, we're kind of trying to flip it around and trying to go in the right direction. And I'm happy about that. Onwards and upwards, just like you say, Brian C. Socrates. So big yourself up, my man. And as well, I would say, everybody, please head on over to the second channel. Just released a video with Darius yesterday, which is kind of, I've been doing a lot of Spurs content, but I did just release a video with Darius yesterday where we kind of just spoke about all of the signings across all of Europe and basically broke down what our 5 favorite signings were in all of European football, broke down the 5 worst signings, also kind of broke down who the winners and losers of the transfer market are. I kind of went on a bit of a rant about maybe Barcelona continuing to misuse their funds and continue to make a lot of mistakes. But if that does sound of interest to you, maybe just kind of breaking down the whole window. If you like hearing Darius talk as well, just like me, please head on over to that second channel, flatcapeurotalk, please.
And guys, we're so close to the 1,000 over there. So if you could really get over there and smash that subscribe button on it, it would be absolutely awesome. It'd make Jack's, weekend. It'd make mine as well. So if you could do that, that would be absolutely brilliant. But just quickly, Brian Socrates, my man, I really do appreciate it. Just myself quickly, look, I actually believe we had a good transfer window. Come the end of it, what we done, business out, business in. I can see what we've set ourselves up for in terms of the pre-contract players in the summer. I think the fact that United, West Ham, Arsenal didn't do any business is a massive, massive plus to us. And look, I definitely think we can have a positive end to this season, and then we take it from there. And my God, do we all need it? I mean, look, you know, for the last year, we've been bickering, arguing, fighting amongst ourselves. It's now time to put a stop to that. Every other Premier League club and fans hate us. They go around singing Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. So, you know, now we all have to come together as Spurs fans. And Paratici said it as well, you know. Fans with the positive atmospheres in the stadium and all can help the team, can affect the team. So let's all get back to loving each other. I'm not asking for echo chambers on all the channels where everyone's sitting there stroking each other off, agreeing with each other. You know, have your debates and everything else. All for it. But, you know, let's stop this name-calling stuff in the fan base, and let's all be one going forward. But big up, Brian C, my man. I really appreciate it. And look, and that's from all sides. That's from Levy out, Levy in, and Levy reform. Everyone's guilty of it this January. So now January's out of the way. Let's move forward. But big up, Brian C, my man. I really appreciate it. And then we have one more here from Franco Martini. Big yourself up, brother. Says, in terms of mentality, I want to big up Ben Davies, back up to Danny Rose, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But when called upon, he's always there. Do you know what? I would say under Conte, fair enough. Under Pochettino, under Jose, nah. Under Nuno, no. Look, what I would say is the biggest transformation for Ben Davies. He's been moved in from left back to left-sided centre back, which is a massive plus for him because he was exposed out at left back. He didn't have the pace. He didn't have the defending ability out there whatsoever. We even seen it when he played there against Chelsea the last game. He's just not a left back anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, when he got his chance under Conte to take it the way he has, I agree with you. You know, always been back up, always been overlooked. He got his chance under Conte and he stepped up and took it. So you have to give him credit and praise where praise is due. And he's barely put a foot wrong since he's been in there. So big yourself up, Franco Maldini. Do you know what? Or Martini. Do you know what? You talked me into it. I've talked myself into bigging him up. Big up, Frank. And then Brian C. Socrates always says here, well said, lads. If you want to make an omelette, you have to break some eggs.
Absolutely.
We unite and drive on. Come on, you Spurs. Exactly, my
Big
man.
up, Socrates.
You know, we all have to be together. Everyone hates us, and when we're all divided, it just allows other fans to kind of, you know, walk all over us. But when we're all standing there, you know, we don't allow it. And that's, look, at the end of the day, we all have the one love. The one thing that unites us all is Tottenham Hotspur. And I get it. Like Adam was saying already, you know, every right over the last few years to be pissed off with this club, pissed off with the direction we're going in, you know, pissed off with the players, pissed off with some of the management, pissed off with the owner, pissed off with the director of football. I get it. But now, you know, we clean slate going forward, and let's get back behind this club again. But look, we are going to end it there. Big yourself up, Brian C, my man. I really, really do appreciate the support. Everybody, make sure you have smashed that like button. Make sure you do smash the subscribe button on here. Big push for 6K is on. Also, smash the subscribe button on Jack's channel, the flatcapeurotalk. And the boys' channel down here below me, Adams and Brian's and the other Brian and Danny Kiriakou, I give him a mention. Don't want him crying to me later. Tottenham on tour. Make sure you do get over there and smash that subscribe button. And you should for every content creator that's a Spurs fan. Smash the subscribe and a like. Even if you don't like the channel, just do it because they're Spurs fans. But look, you know, get your comments in underneath. Let us know what your opinions are on what we spoke about here today. Myself, Jack, will be down in the comments. We will respond and we will get into it with yous. We want to hear from all Spurs fans. Make sure you tune back in here tomorrow for the pre-match build-up to the Brighton game. That'll be in and around, I haven't decided on a time, but around 3:30, I would say. So make sure, well, if you can, come back in for that. But everybody, you know, make sure, like I said, smash that like, smash that subscribe, get your comments in. And we're going to end it off here. So as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Top 4 is coming, baby.
Yeah.
Top 4 is coming.
Bring on top 4.
There we go.